Hey, remember all the times that leftists laughed at you or freedom-favoring radio hosts for warning that the truth-deprived anthropogenic climate change boogeyman was a tool to facilitate a global carbon tax, world government, and possibly a militarized world police force? Well, guess what? A climate scaremongering Danish professor just agreed with you. Hi everybody, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and I'm as shocked as you are as the spurious claims, the faulty predictions, the secret communications about data manipulation, and enormous methodological mistakes of many of the most prominent climate change cultists out there and their tax-funded offices are exposed. We are blessed with this new one. As Selwyn Duke writes for The New American, University of Copenhagen International Relations Professor Ole Wæver, no relation to Dennis Weaver, I'm sure, although intellectually they're very much the same because Dennis Weaver was a wicked lefty guy. Wicked lefty. Gonna see him in Riviera, Dorchester. Wicked lefty. Ole Wæver just charmed hosts on Australian television with the oh-so-peaceful belief that inaction, as he calls it, on so-called man-made climate change could require worldwide military intervention. When decision makers, after delaying for so long, suddenly try to find a shortcut to realistic action, climate change is likely to be securitized. You know what I love about this Professor Wæver, too, is how he uses the term decision makers. Like, we're not all decision makers in our own lives. You know, it's only the politicians and bureaucrats who are the decision makers for everybody else. Collectivism, right in a nutshell. And of course, he uses that wonderful term, securitized. What's that all about? Professor Wæver, who first coined the term securitization, says more abrupt change could potentially threaten democracy. The United Nations Security Council could, in principle, tomorrow decide that climate change is a threat to international peace and security, he says. But in addition to questioning why the good professor equates democracy with peace, when, as the founders and Aristotle knew, democracy is simply mob rule, how does getting the UN military involved in policing people's energy use equate to peace itself? Well, Wæver, of course, doesn't answer that simple question. Instead, he doubles down, stressing that lovely thought, a militarized, worldwide climate change police force. Then what? Well, Wæver says that classifying climate change as a security issue could justify more extreme policy responses. ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, also informs that he said if there was something that was decided internationally by some more centralized procedure and every country was told, this is your emission target, it's not negotiable, we can actually take military measures if you don't fulfill it, he stated, then you would basically have to get that down the throat of your population, whether they like it or not. How kind. How peaceful. Of course, this scaremongering for national or international security reasons isn't new in any way whatsoever. It's precisely the kind of thing that Barack Obama officially pushed in September of 2016 with his wonderful presidential memorandum declaring climate change a national security threat. And goodness knows the US government, heck, any government can do anything under the imprimatur of a security threat, can't it? Even Obama's fans in the Democrat Party have picked up on the vibe, and we can see that the climate change crisis is something that they are also seeing requires immediate action for national security's sake. Vermont socialist Bernie Sanders recently claimed
4 years ago I came here to Iowa and I was asked, what is the major national security issue we face? And people thought I'd say ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and those are big issues. The answer that I gave in terms of national security is climate change.
And he pushed his $16 trillion plan to fight climate change on the back of that very spurious notion. Then there's Liz Warren, who's, well, when she's not creating non-native recipes for her powwow chow book, has recently stated that she wants to see our military fighting to help combat climate change. Yeah, indeed. This is the classic Hegelian dialectic in action. It's alive and well. It's the false choice, crisis, reaction, solution. It's a pre-planned situation put together by politicians and bureaucrats who are ready to direct the populace towards an intended policy outcome. And now, of course, worldwide militarized police for the environment are on the horizon, according to this Danish professor. And as Duke notes, just consider that since 2007, the European Union has had 4 multinational military battle groups at its disposal, wrote Breitbart last year, though they've never been deployed. Moreover, French President Emmanuel Macron actually proposed in 2018 the creation of an EU army, an idea that was quickly endorsed by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. So, just remember, every government action is backed by a threat of armed force that, for some reason, Americans seem to understand innately, but that they don't want to discuss with each other overtly, even as they proudly proclaim that this is the land of the free. Something to keep in mind as we see people getting worried about an international police force. Well, I guess as long as the police force is only directed from within your own nation, it's not quite as scary. Maybe something to consider when we think about the size and scope of government in the US. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Hit the bell. If you're watching on YouTube, it will tell you, we think, when new videos pop up. And visit MRCTV.org. There's always something great happening there. For MRC-TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.